The African Union Commission chairperson has issued a formal congratulation to the president of Uganda, Yoweri Museveni, following his re-election after he was declared as the valid winner in the just-ended January presidential election in Uganda, an election which has been described by Bobi Wine, the country's main opposition leader, as a sham and as being rigged in favor of Yoweri Museveni. Yoweri Museveni made it clear that the election was transparent. Now, the African Union commended the efforts of Ugandans in paying their respect for democracy and in participating in democracy, in protecting democracy. He said the voting process went on history and was well coordinated, despite the fact that more than 21 people have been killed in Uganda as far as the election is concerned. During the period of the election, almost 21 plus people were killed or have been killed, and several persons are missing. Some abducted by uniformed men, some abducted by armed civilian men. You know, the situation is kind of very chaotic. But the African Union congratulating Yoweri Museveni is a proof as to what we have been saying, that the African Union in itself is a body that lacks the merit to stand as a legitimate body in voicing support for democracy. The African Union did not fully condemn the killing of Ugandans in the course of the election. Let me be very honest with you. Elections were held in Kenya, presidential election. How many people died? You could barely hear even about 2 people died. Elections were held in America. How many people died? Nobody died. Elections were held in other parts of the world. You hear nobody is killed. On the day of Cameroon, a part of the post-electoral violence, on the day of Cameroon itself, the day of election, nobody died. But in Uganda, the day of the election, over 21 people were killed. And African Union, instead of expressing deep concern as to the nature in which people were killed during the presidential election, African Union chose to express their satisfaction to the way in which the election were organized and expressed that this is a proof of democracy. You see why I tell you guys that the African Union is a sham, that the African Union has not only failed, that the African Union should be dissolved. And I am using my platform to call on Burkina Faso, Mali, and Niger to see how they can come out from this African Union's cacophony, because you cannot call yourself an African Union, and it is the same African Union. If a military coup is carried out, that same African Union come and condemn the military coup, but it's not condemning the unethical practices of democracy, the crime being committed in the course of democracy. African Union is not condemning the shenanigans seen during the course of democracy. African Union is not calling leaders to tax that are abrogating and disgracing and bringing down democracy. It's not calling them to tax. If you call these people to tax, then you can have the moral ground to call a coup d'etat. But because you cannot call these people to tax, you have no moral ground to call to a coup d'etat. Nigerian election came. How many people died in Nigerian election? Violence erupted in Nigerian election. African Union was quick to say congratulations. You come to Cameroon, post-electoral violence. African Union was quick to say congratulations. You go you go to Uganda, you are not quick to say congratulations. Tanzania, how many people died in Tanzania? You say congratulations. You see, that is why we say that the African Union are made up of group of elites who have decided to take hostage the people and to hide behind it as a legitimate target to legitimize. In fact, African Union is used as a legitimate target to legitimize thievery, unethical practices, autocracy, and you can name the rest. It's a shame. The day African Union will come out and condemn the process of an election without giving congratulations and calling for a full-scale investigation, that the African Union will have the merit. But as of now, they have no merit.